All right, Temple, I'd like to talk about employment, and I'm curious of what some of your ideas are to increase the rate of employment for adults with autism.
First of all, okay, there's we got two groups here. We got ones where no preparation was done. All right, let's first of all talk about the ones that are in the pipeline now. Maybe the kid's 10.
Hmm.
Well, he should have had chores. Got to start learning how to do tasks that just work. When they get to be around 11 years old, we need to be doing volunteer work. Now, COVID's made a mess out of this because the thing that I would recommend is, okay, if you go to a church, you need to be doing a volunteer job, maybe set up the food or some other usher, whatever. It's important that you do a task on a schedule outside the home. That needs to start like at age 11. That's the old age that we had paper routes. Because I have all kinds of granddaddies come up to me and grandmoms come up to me, and they find out they're on the autism spectrum and they have decent jobs, but they had paper routes when they were 11. So we've got to make a substitute for that. Okay, and COVID's made a mess out of working at the farmers market. Then they can be a little older; they can volunteer at the animal shelter. But we got to find things for them to do outside the home on a schedule. And even now, they can walk dogs, they can take out trash, they can do garden work. Now we're getting into winter now.
Hmm.
There's still things that they could do. Instant, they're legal. Before they graduate from high school, they need to get jobs. Now in the US, that's anywhere from 14 to 16 years old. You turn 14 or 16, you need to get a job so that they've learned to work before they graduate. Now we got to be careful about the multitasking. Don't shove them on the takeout window at McDonald's. Way too much multitasking. Can't do that. Gotta be careful about the multitasking. They need to get jobs. And the other thing, when I worked in construction all the time, I worked with people that are my age now. They were running businesses. I know a guy who's autistic, dyslexic, ADHD, owns an international metal fabrication company. I cannot go into what they make because it's undiagnosed, but I know autism when I see it.
Hmm.
And he stutters too, on top of it.
Yeah, so he was given that practice at a young age.
Well, he was a lousy student in high school. He took a single welding class. It saved him. And he started making things and showing it at little trade shows, and his company grew.
So you have this group of younger kids, and what's the other group? Adults who are now
Adults
unemployed?
where they've sometimes they've graduated from college and they've never had a job. Parents forget that academic skills are totally different than work skills. So you've got a guy who's never had a job and maybe even an advanced degree. I read about a lawyer that had a law degree, got fired from 2 law firms because he wouldn't show up on time for client meetings.
Hmm.
You're not late to big client meetings. And he did not get the reports written. Now, I had a lot of problems, but I got my stuff written on time for the farm arrangement. And there were certain meetings I had to cover, like the Arizona cattle feeders, University of Arizona cattle field day. I had to cover these things. And I did that. See, that's just basic thing. And the other thing, I had a boss that, when you saw it in the movie, they slammed the deodorant down and said, "You stink, use it." It's okay to be eccentric. You can't be a rude, filthy slob.
Hmm.
That is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You cannot be a rude, filthy slob. You just can't be. So let's just start with the total basics.
Hmm.
And the way to get around the interview thing, if you have a ability, like I could show drawings, I could show pictures of jobs. Somebody who's a programmer could show off some of their code and says, "Well, I can do Python. Look at this code," or I do JavaScript. Look at what I made with JavaScript, and you have it on your tablet, and you show off the thing you made, and then you show the code behind it. See, that's how a techie can do an interview, or an artist can do an interview, or you can show off writing, for journalism. And the trick is, don't put too much junk in the portfolio. Basically, what you want is a 30-second wow. That's what you look at it and go, wow. That's what you want.
What can employers do to be more inclusive and neurodiverse?
Well, the thing with a person with autism is you cannot be vague. You don't just say to them, well, create some new programs. You're better off to say, you're on this project, you have to create some code that does this. Let the programmer do the coding, but you tell them what the outcome is. It has to be on this platform, this much memory, and get it done in 30 days from now, on the 1st of January. It be specific. And then if the guy makes really bad social mistakes, don't be vague. Pull them into the office, tell them in private what they've done wrong. And I remember criticizing some welding on the first project I ever worked on, and I said, look like pigeon doo-doo. The plant engineer pulled me into his office and explained that was not appropriate. And I had to apologize. What he did is he didn't yell and scream at me. He told me what I should do. The boss sort of needs to look at it. It's like coaching somebody in a foreign country.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. And some of these people need a quiet place to work. Open plan, super busy, crazy, noisy office is not going to work. And the multitasking is the other thing. And don't put long strings of verbal instructions on them. They can't remember sequence. I can't remember sequence. Write it down. And I figured out how to do that at project meetings, because I'd have different kinds of jobs. Like new construction is like a flat site. Okay, I know what that is. But then you'd have remodel jobs, and then you got to decide what to tear out, what you're going to keep. And I'd figure out, okay, now we're going to take out this fence. We're going to take out this old junky shed. I'm actually seeing jobs now.
Interesting.
Where it's very clear what they want. And my mind tends to categorize. If I'm doing consulting, do they just want, let's say it's an existing facility, they just want some cattle handling consulting, and we maybe repair a couple of gates? That would be the simplest job. Then you have ones we might tear out a small part of it. And then they have ones I used to call major surgery, where we rip out something really big. And then you have new construction. But I kind of got to scope out, what the client probably wants to do. And I like to have it very clear, so when I design something, it's within certain boundaries. Like I got to be 3 meters off the center of the railroad spur, for example. These are things that I have to follow.
So also, the employees need to know what they need and advocate for themselves.
Well, the other thing is the one thing, anything that involves sequencing, pilots, checklists. And I used to just say, I need to write it down. I like clear goals. I just did a project, 5 years ago, where it was a whole bunch of people writing an animal welfare document. And there was 20 people in this big conference room. And I just said, well, how about I just do this section and this format, and it's supposed to be this length. I'll have it done on the 15th. Do the references in this format, so I know up front that's my part of it. It's got pretty distinct boundaries. But then again, I'm a member of a team, and we got to get the document out. And I was going through reading it, and one of the other team members in another part made a very bad technical mistake. I didn't rub their nose in it. I just corrected it, no track changes. Because it wasn't something where there'd be an opinion about it. It was something that was just flat wrong. It'd be like saying that, I'm just trying to think of something really, really silly. I can't say, I can't think of something that's obviously silly.
But things that are really objectively clear.
Yeah, that's right. Like saying grass is made out of steel. Okay. Something that I can't say the sky is orange, because we had fires here and our sky actually turned orange right outside.
You've been watching Autism Knows No Borders. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so let us know what you think in the comments section. Click here to watch this interview in its entirety. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app. Tune in each week for engaging conversations of how people across the globe are inspiring change and building community. Thanks for watching. Take care.